there any questions for me thus far? Questions or comments? Yes.
Can you explain when you went to college how you evolved into becoming an activist on campus?
I can. So when I came to Spelman College, I came as a transfer student from Texas A&M University. I went to a military academy in Maryland. I was surrounded while I was in high school by peers who were in the life, who identified either as gay. I didn't come in contact with too many people who identified as transgender, but they were gender non-conforming, if everyone understands what that means. Lesbian, and these were people that I loved as friends, as lovers, as companions, as mentors. My mentor, who is actually in the military and is pushing 60-something, has been married to her partner, well, not officially married, but has been with her partner since she was in college. So to me, I saw lesbianism as something that meant you can love another woman, you can be in a healthy relationship, you can be in leadership positions. I didn't see an opposition to it. I was in a relationship when I came to Georgia. I was involved with my girlfriend who I was actually living with. So when I came to Georgia, I hit a culture shock. And then when I got to Spelman campus, it was even more of a culture shock. I always say that I didn't join the cult, because Spelman is very much so a cult in a lot of ways. If you know anything about small colleges, if you know anything about historically black colleges, there's a lot of traditions, there's a lot of rituals, and there's just this underlying understanding of what you look like as a student in that institution. And that image I did not fit. I was not identified at that time as a traditional Christian, in the sense that I believe in a Christian God because that is the religion that was given to me. But it wasn't until I became more educated in theology where I realized that the practice or the traditional understanding of Christianity is not something that I'm comfortable with. So I identify as a spiritual being. That's not necessarily what Spelman College is about. On our logo, it's our school for Christ. Spelman has this romanticized relationship with Morehouse. So there's this idea of a heterosexual woman being the Spelman woman. There's this idea of a very conservative woman being the Spelman woman, and that's just not me. It's just not my style. So when I got there, the first semester was hard. I was very, I couldn't connect with the campus. I couldn't connect with campus life. And my entire life was wrapped around my girlfriend and that relationship, which just isn't healthy in general for your entire being to be wrapped in someone else. It wasn't until I found Afriquiti, which is our organization on campus that fosters to the LGBT community, where, one, I found a safe space, which is essential in any type of grouping, in any type of support group or organizing. It's essential to be able to go to some type of geographical structure and be able to call this space your own, and be able to know that you can continue to be who you are, open, authentically, 100%, without being judged, because I didn't have that space anywhere else on Spelman's campus. The only issue I had with Afriquiti is that it was a support group without action, and my personality is just not that. I couldn't go about continuously saying the same thing, complaining about the same thing, and not doing anything about it. I began to get kind of angry. So I became president, and my platform was mobilization. I was determined to do something. And I was a comparative women's studies major, which is a major that I love, and I think everybody should take, no matter where you are in your life, because to me, it taught me about who I was as all that I am, who I'm not, who I don't want to be. It taught me about the forces that are out there against me. It gave me the language and mechanism to face those forces and make change. It gave me confidence. It gave me support. It gave me a network. And with all of that, and then my mom being the person that she is, who supports me, but we have open conversation and dialogue about things that she doesn't understand completely about me. But the fact that she set the atmosphere for me to be able to have that conversation with her, I'm unstoppable. I tell everyone my life in the closet was very short-lived, because once my mom found out, and when she found out, she wasn't completely happy. She wasn't really happy at all. But we later found out, we realized that the reason why she was so upset is because I lied about it, you know? I didn't know that it would be okay. We didn't talk about sexuality in our house, which is another issue. Like, we're taught that sexuality is a taboo. So the lack of conversation can cultivate into this fear of simply coming to you and saying, Mom, I think I'm not heterosexual. I don't know what I am yet. I'm just pretty sure heterosexual isn't it, you know? So had we been able to have that conversation, maybe we wouldn't have that toxic night of her yelling and screaming at me and me running up to my sister and crying. But now, you know, she's been through relationships with me. So it's like just having that force behind me, I was just like, I don't care what Spelman has to say. You know, activism became easy because it almost became about me just moving. I saw something was wrong and I did something about it. They implemented the appropriate attire policy on Morehouse campus, which is a direct attack on transgender men on that campus. My idea, have a drag show. They don't want men dressing in women's clothing. Well, let's give them a space where they can dress however they want to dress. And it wasn't just a drag show, it was a political stance. Each and every scene spoke to some type of social taboo about gender expression. So the first scene spoke to traditionalism and how we had this binary understanding of how a man is supposed to look, act, and feel, and how a woman is supposed to look, act, and feel. The second scene was a progression into trends and androgyny, how sometimes those lines blur. And then how do we respond when those lines blur? And then second, it was just, this is a culture. This exists. People live this way. People express themselves in this way, and it's okay. It's really okay. And people were really responsive to it. I participate in a conference called the Tony King Conference. It's a student activism conference, and it's ran, executed, and organized by students on campus. And our theme 2 years ago was making the revolution irresistible. And it stuck with me because I was like, oh, that's how you have to do it. You just have to kind of sneak the revolution in there. You know? You can't come in like, look, this is what we're talking about. Gay rights, gay rights, gay rights. Because people shut down. So you have to present it in a shiny, flashy way. We're overstimulated, our generation. So, you know, you got to find a new way to talk to us. You got to throw some sparkles on it, put a nice beat behind it, and then you got people listening and they don't even realize what they're listening to, and next thing you know, you change the consciousness. So it's really about being creative, being comfortable, and meeting people where they are. I think God has blessed me by not putting me in situations where I could have become jaded. I've come in contact with friends who've had horrible stories about being kicked out of their houses, trying to figure out how they're going to pay for college, abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse. Like, that's not my experience, but they are in a place where they're so angry that they can't even tell their story, and they don't trust. And I feel like God has put me in a place where I didn't go through that because I would have been jaded. I would have been too scared to come to people who identify as allies and talk to them about my experience. So I hope I answered your question.
She needs to calm herself.